On number 40 here, the first thing we're going to need to do is get rid of these parentheses on each side of the equal sign so we can start combining like terms and such. So in order to get rid of these parentheses, move this down just a little bit, you need to send in your negative 5 to each term. That's going to give you negative 5x. Negative 5 times a positive 6 will be negative 30. Okay. Then you just bring down this negative 3, your equal sign, the 4x, and on this side you'll have negative 2 times each of those terms. So that will yield negative 6x and negative 18. Okay, at this point the best thing to do is clean up each side. So if you have like terms, negative 30 and negative 3, that gives us negative 33. Signs are same. You add and keep your sign. On this side you have a 4x and negative 6x. When you combine those you get a negative 2x. And just bring down whatever you haven't touched. This negative 5x, your equal sign, and the negative 18. Okay, now you've cleaned up each side as much as you can. Now you need to get rid of one of these x's. So my preference will be get rid of that negative 5x, just because I'd rather end up with positive x values. So to get rid of a negative 5x, it's held there by addition or subtraction. So I'll use addition or subtraction to get rid of it. If that's a negative 5x, I'll put positive 5x underneath, and I'll put positive 5x underneath. And then I like to just draw a line here and bring everything down, see what's left. These two, when they combine, that gives me 0, but I don't need to write that. I have negative 33. When these combine, I'm left with 3x, and the negative 18 comes down. Okay, you want to get rid of that negative 18. It's held there by addition or subtraction. Slide this up. So you would say positive 18 and positive 18. And again, I just draw a line here, bring everything down. So that's a 0. I don't have to write it. 3x. So how would this turn out? It's a negative something, right? That's a 5 and 1. Alright, last step to get x by itself. Get rid of the 3. It's held there by multiplication, so the opposite is division. Divide by 3, divide by 3, and when you do that, 3 goes into 3 once, x equals, and that would be negative 5. Sorry, lost track of that there. So that would be our answer to number 40. Okay, we'll also tackle number 42. A variety of ways to go about it, but right now really the biggest problem is that 3. We showed clearing of fractions, so you would multiply each term on each side by the least common denominator, which would be 3. That's one way to think of it. Another way to think of it is just to get rid of this 3, you would multiply each side by 3. I guess to be consistent with what we've been doing, though. I said you simply decide on your least common denominator, put that over each term on each side, but this 7 negative x here, that's protected inside the parentheses, so we're just going to mess with basically what's in front of the parentheses. Okay, and then hopefully you know the shorthand here for reducing this. 3 goes into 3 once, 3 goes into 3 once, 1 times 4 is 4, and then you still have your parenthesis 7 negative x. Bring down your equal sign. Here there's no denominator, so you can't reduce, so it's 3 times x and 3 times 5, and bring down your plus sign. Okay. I know it's a little bit sloppy here, but we'll clean that up. Now you still can't get to this stuff because it's trapped inside the parentheses there. So let's send in the 4 to each term. That will get rid of the parentheses. This gives us 28 minus 4x. Bring down your equal sign. Whoops. And you just bring down the 3x plus 15. Okay, now you can get rid of, you have to get rid of one of these x terms. So if we get rid of the negative 4x, we'll have positive x values, so that'll be my preference. Negative 4x is held here by addition or subtraction, so I use addition or subtraction to get rid of it. I'll put plus 4x and plus 4x on each side. Then simply draw a line, bring everything down. So this is 28. That's a 0. You don't have to write it. We now have 7x and plus 15. You want to get rid of this 15 over here, because if you get rid of the 28, you'll have everything on one side of the equation. You don't want that. You want x on one side, and you want to get rid of this 15, and you want to get rid of the 7. We'll start out getting rid of that 15 with a negative 15, negative 15, and then just draw a line, bring everything down. That's a 0. I don't have to write it. 7x, and this is 13. And one more step to get x by itself. You got to get rid of this 7. It's held there by multiplication. So the opposite operation is division. Must do the same on each side. 7 goes into 7 once, so that cleans up, and you're left with x. I did not cross out the x. I only crossed out the 7. Okay, the x is still right there. So here's the x, and it's 13 sevenths. Okay, hopefully that's still on the page. And we're going to do another algebraic equation. We'll do number 44. Okay, so here's 44. And we're going to clear this of fractions. This one's a little easier to see what's happening when we clear it of fractions than our previous example. Okay. Well, we actually don't want that. There. So you look at your denominators. 10, 5, and 6. The least common denominator is 30. So you basically have to multiply each side, I should say, you multiply each term on each side by 30 unless the terms are protected by parentheses. Okay? No parentheses here, so I'm just going to put a 30 over each term. And then I'm going to reduce. So we have 10 goes into 10 once, 10 goes into 30 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9. Bring down our x, our plus sign. Okay. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 times 4 is 24. Bring down our equal sign. Okay, right here there's no denominator to reduce, so we just have to multiply. 30 times negative 2x is negative 60x. Okay, this negative sign, I bring that down, it's right there. But we can reduce here. 6 goes into 6 once, 6 goes into 30 5 times. 5 times 1 is 5. Okay, so now we have we don't have to deal with fractions anymore. My preference is going to be get rid of this negative 60 because I'm trying to avoid having negative terms. It's held there by addition or subtraction, so you use addition or subtraction to get rid of it. This is a negative 60, so I use a positive 60x. I want to get rid of the negative 60x, so I put positive 60x there and positive 60x here. Then I'm just going to draw a line and bring everything down. So we have 69x, positive 24, and that's a negative 5. Okay, we want x all by itself, so I want to get rid of the 69 and the 24. And in general, at least at this level of mathematics, you sort of undo your algebraic equation in the reverse of the order of operations. Again, it's not a hard and fast rule, but if something's being added or subtracted, that's probably the easiest thing to get rid of. So we'll put negative 24 here, negative 24 here. Then just draw a line and bring everything down. So that's 69x. That's a 0. You don't have to write it. Bring down your equal sign. There's negative 29. Signs are the same, so you add. And one more step to get x by itself. Divide by 69. And that fraction is not going to clean up. 69 goes into 69 once, so you have x equals, negative 29 69ths, and that will not reduce. So that is our solution.